Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And here we are once again on a Monday night, the new Open Mic Show. I'm Bill Macek, and my co-host Bill Ellis is here. And our guests right now for the first part of this hour, we have people from the Haverhill Cultural Council. We have Victoria Pham, directly to my right, and then also we have Alison Colby-Campbell, who is over next to Bill, kind of.
Hi. Three names.
Hi.
You must be important.
I'm just married.
Sounds so excited.
You have to, please try to speak right into the mic so you can get your message across. Okay?
The best shot we can.
Yeah. Now, you have some awards coming up.
Well, we've already made the awards. We've assigned 19 grants for people who applied to the Haverhill Cultural Council,
Right.
and that's to fill the 2018 in Haverhill with a lot of cultural different events. And what we're going to do now at our event on May 16th is introduce them to the rest of society.
Great. That sounds great. Now, that event is on this coming Wednesday?
It's May 16th.
May 16th. Okay, that's right. When we were booking this, it was either going to be close or tonight. So here we are, May 16th. Tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about that.
Well, I think we're having it at 10 Welcome Street, which is Haverhill Citizens Center, and we will have as many of our grant recipients as possible be there. We're going to have entertainment. We've had very generous donations of food, and so it's a little party. It's festive, and we're trying to make sure that everyone comes at 7 o'clock. It's about 2 hours long, and just enjoy what we're bringing to the city.
And it's going to be where?
It's going to be at the Citizen Center
Okay.
on 10 Welcome Street.
Yeah. And is there a cost to go?
Oh, no, this is free.
It's free.
Yeah.
With food.
I'll be there.
Bill will be there, yeah.
The food was the deal sealer here.
Yeah, that did it. Well, that sounds fantastic. Now, tell us, so everybody knows about the Haverhill Cultural Council. What is it? How does it? Who's it made up of? How's it work? Where's your money come from?
Oh, those are really good questions. Now, if I can go through them all. Well, we are all appointed. Everyone on the council is appointed by Mayor Fiorentini, and our goal is to help him fulfill his mission of creating culture for everyone within the city. We are part of the Mass Cultural Council, which is the largest grassroots organization to bring arts to an
Okay.
area.
Yeah.
And they are the people that fund us, and gave us this year. We had a little over $29,000 to distribute to people with
That's
grants.
fairly significant.
It is significant.
So you have some money to help people, and you're looking to help culture and artists in the community.
It's a really broad description of what culture is. You can be in the arts as you know it. It could be painting. It could be performance art. But it's also
art.
right.
Yeah.
So it's. Do you want to move up here?
Yeah, of course. So it could easily be like traditional art that you can see it as, or it can be interpretive art. So people who have done like educational programs that's based in the arts, but also based in sciences as well, that would be considered part of
Oh,
the
okay.
too.
So it is broad.
It's very broad.
So what
Humanities,
about the applicants? How do people apply? And then you must have a team of people that kind of
We have
sift
a
through.
very big team,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
Prior to this year, we had a small group. We were down to about 5 people, and we went forward to the mayor and said it will be a much more effective council if we could have many more people, more hands, make less work. And so we are now at 14 people that are on the council.
14. That's a
Yeah.
good size. Yeah.
It is a good
And they're all
size.
volunteers.
All volunteers.
Yeah, nice.
All hard workers, and a variety of talents that everyone brings to the mix, which is really nice.
That is nice. Yeah.
We have every September is the start of the application period. So people will apply for the grants online through Mass Cultural Council on the local council page on the Mass Cultural Council website. And then the deadline is October 15th.
Okay.
And so from there, we have a meeting where people can come and find out more if they want to. So that's prior to the deadline. And then after the deadline, we look at all of the different applications and we decide, we don't understand this piece of information is missing. And we look at that and talk back to the people that have applied.
So you actually almost interview the applicants to get a better idea.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you sometimes see if they're involved with art or something, see some of their work to see what level of competence they're at? Or
Well, that's all taken into account. There are a lot of different questions that are used in the evaluation. Now, this was your first evaluation, wasn't it, Victoria?
Yeah, so it was my first evaluation. I know that for the evaluation process, all of us have a subjective and an objective role to evaluating. So the subjective part is what you can consider the personal, if you want to see their competence, etc. But the objective is just if they have a venue, if they have their program and their planning and process, etc. So it was a great time. Almost,
so you're looking
with
for shovel-ready projects, if I can use the old Obama line, right? Shovel-ready.
You're shoveling it all right, Billy.
We don't want to hinder the creativity that comes with the planning, but to have a full scope of the planning out already, that's very important.
That's great. Now, how about somebody that doesn't make it? They apply again next year? Do you have a waiting list, or do you try to give something to everybody?
No, we don't try and give something to everybody, although we'd love to. It would just diminish our ability to really have
Help
something
certain,
move forward.
right.
You know, if everyone got 50 cents,
Yeah,
you know.
true. Right. So you have a lot of applicants. People
We do.
you
We
really do apply.
Last year we had over 40, and that was, we picked 21 of those. And this year we had pretty close to that, 38, I believe, and we picked 19 of those.
So you really got about a 50-50 shot.
Well,
right?
who knows?
Now, do they all have to be Haverhill residents?
You don't have to be a Haverhill resident, but anything that you put forward has to take place in Haverhill, unless it's a school field trip, in which case you leave from Haverhill and go someplace else.
Do you want to go through some or even all of the 19 that you chose?
So you're wanting the scoop before the big event, huh?
If you don't want to, that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I'll definitely
we
do
can
that.
respect that you want to wait for the big event. But
Well, one of the very important people applicants that we sponsored is WHAV.
great.
Yeah,
Nice.
we
Because-
believe in.
And WHAV is a nonprofit.
Right.
And it's a tough game. I can tell you from my own personal experience that radio is not a thriving industry. So, Tim has to work hard to keep the lights on, as I used to say.
And we want that kind of engagement with the community. A lot of times we're looking for how much outreach you can have. And what we were able to do with the grant that came through, the application that came through, is sponsor a cultural program, a cultural feature
Excellent.
on your
Nice.
station here.
And I'm
So Bill could be an artist if he did a drawing of me here at WHAV?
Potentially, yeah.
I
Yeah,
could
but-
apply for that, but
You
they
could.
wouldn't. They probably wouldn't fund that.
Well, because they probably wouldn't, because stick figures, will don't go over that well.
Well, I think the other thing is we have to do things that appeal to as many people as possible.
yeah.
And I don't know where your art
That's
level
right.
is. Stick figures, Dan.
You know what's interesting, though, what you mentioned about, the artists and so forth and helping, and I was watching something over the weekend. You ever see the painting Christina's World?
Yes.
In Andrew Wyeth? Well, that house was a home that the folks that owned it lent him a room to stay so he could do his artwork. And thus he got the inspiration for Christina's World,
Nice.
the girl with the polio that was crawling towards the house.
So there's what you're really saying is that you're looking for creative opportunity for people and to help them help them facilitate their thoughts.
Right. We look at things and we get, in some instances, we're looking to help start things. The Experimental Film Festival in
Right.
Haverhill.
Yeah.
We sponsored them and gave them grants for multiple years, and then they can take off from
On their
there.
own. Sure.
Things like the Bradford Summer Music Concert Series. That we sponsored their 10th anniversary, which was last year, so that they could have a youth concert.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
the
We
project.
almost catalyze it, yeah. So I did like the idea when we had another member in our committee. So Ruby Lyons is one of our members who is a phenomenal member, has been there for 5 years now, is it?
I think so, but she knows everything.
Yeah. So she was basically explaining how sometimes we just help kickstart whatever they aspire to
I think it's
help.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, it's time for us to take a short break. We're going to pause. We'll be right back and talk some more about the Haverhill Cultural Council right here on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
Public radio for Greater Haverhill. This is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave!
Hi, Tom Bergeron here. I started at WHAV in 1972. And look, WHAV's still here, but it won't be if you don't help support it. Go to whav.net. Become a contributor. Keep us going.
Community Spotlight!
The Haverhill Democratic City Committee invites voters to meet the candidates on Monday, May 7th. Public meet and greet dinner at Maria's Restaurant, 81 Essex Street, Haverhill. The meal starts at 5:30. Members of the public are invited for a $5 fee. The charge is waived for students. Candidates expected to attend include Alexandra Chandler, Senator Barbara L'Italian, Daniel Coe, Beej Das, Rufus Gifford, Patrick Littlefield, Beaufort Malone, Juana Matthias, Keith St. John, Lori Trahan, Leonard Golder, and Jeff Bollinger. To reserve a ticket, call Roz at 978-373-4032. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcement, click on the Contact tab at whav.net or email news@whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
WHAV Open mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new open mic show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the new open mic. Bill Macek here. It is 6:18, and we are open to your calls. You can call in with a question about the Haverhill Cultural Council, or you can call in to make a comment and just join the conversation right here on the new open mic. That's what we call it at WHAV. It's new because I'm here, Bill's here, and also here is Alison Colby-Campbell.
When will it be old?
6 months.
They're usually about 6
months,
months
that's
to a
it?
year.
Is that
Yeah.
the same with relationships too? That becomes old after 6 months?
Well, that's personal, Bill, and we don't really. We're talking to the Haverhill Cultural Council right now, so we'll save that for another time.
That could be on your dating program.
We're going to have one of those too. We talked about that.
Yes, we've talked about maybe doing something like that. But anyway, tonight we're talking to the Haverhill Cultural Council, Alison Colby-Campbell, and also Victoria Pham. And they have a committee, did you say 19?
14.
14, okay. Next year, maybe 19, because people can volunteer.
Well, you have to be appointed by the mayor, so you
Okay.
express your interest through the mayor's office, and then they see whether we have an opening or however.
You should
that's
get
gonna
at
work.
least one more, because you need to have an odd number to break those ties. When you go 7-7
You're
and
the perfect candidate, Will. You're odd.
But we don't have ties because it's a number system, and it would be unbelievably
so you rate,
coincidental.
you actually score.
We score them.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 2
Tell
meetings
us some
worth.
success stories that have come out of this.
Oh my gosh, we have sponsored so many cool things. Like I said before, the Haverhill Film Festival, the Experimental Film Festival, the different concert series. We supported the Christmas Stroll, which is the Greater Haverhill Chambers.
Which is a great event.
Yeah, that's a great event. We supported the River Ruckus last year, too, and that's another one of the big things
Another
that people
big,
see all the
big
time.
Haverhill event, and hopefully annually.
Well, it seems to be annually,
Yeah.
and then they're getting
They
a good
skipped
crowd.
They skipped 1 year, then they started again.
Oh,
and we got to say thank you, Team Haverhill, on that one too.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are smaller programs that you might not hear about. For Black History Month, there was a laser and music tribute that was at the Walnut Square School. And the kids really enjoyed that because it brought in music from the different eras and a laser show. So that was a
So is it
fascinating
Black
thing.
American music?
Yes. Yep. And we've had things like O Positive last year, which was a concert series
Excellent
and
group,
art.
yeah, yeah.
So that was a very strong thing. We have different things like the youth festival, the youth music festival. How do you call that one? I have to cheat notes.
Northeast Youth Music and Artist Festival, I believe.
That sounds
Okay.
good. That sounds really good.
But it's artists, music artists that are looking to kind of get their break or just get
Yeah, so it's
have
a
fun
youth,
playing for the public and get their
Right.
message out. Yeah,
It's a youth festival itself, so it helps students and those who are sort of reaching out to it. So those at a younger age get that recognition.
Now, does somebody ask for a certain amount of money and then you decide if you can give that amount? You might give
Yes.
them less. Do you ever
Yes.
give them more?
Yes, we have given
Yeah,
them more.
okay. Very
They
interesting.
show us their budget,
Yeah.
and they ask for how much they would like to have. And usually we give up to about $3,000 for a program. There have been occasions when that has been elevated, but that seems to be a threshold that,
Yeah.
that we maintain pretty often so that we can disperse as many monies to as many programs.
Now, you said you get most of your money from the one that gave you the $29,000. Do you get any other people that either donate or local businesses
We
that
don't.
help?
We don't have donations in that regard, but we can do our own fundraisers and do whatever we'd like with those funds. Within reason. And one of the things that we're looking at, we have an exploratory committee right now looking to see if maybe in 2019 we could have a multicultural event in Haverhill with music and food and that sort of thing.
That'd be
to really
great.
encompass all the different ethnic groups and whatever we want to really see a lot of the
To
different
really
areas.
expose. Yep, that's an excellent thought. Now, would you do that in, what are you thinking, GAR Park or someplace else? Or,
Yeah, well, we don't. We're just in the
you
real
don't know
exploratory
yet, huh?
phases.
Yeah,
I think GAR Park would be a great place to do it.
Because it has the bandstand, nice open field area. Yeah.
Right, but that we haven't
But
gotten
you
that
can do
far
it
yet.
wherever you want. I'll support whatever you're doing. So
Okay, I'm in.
That's great. So, what else would you like to tell us about either? Let's talk again for people that may have tuned in late
Okay.
about your event on May 16th.
I'm going to let Victoria take this because she is on that subcommittee.
Okay.
Yes, so there is a subcommittee where we are planning that event. So the event itself is a grantee recipient reception. So it's to honor, celebrate, and to let the public know who the grantees are that have gotten the grants allocated to them for this year, the 2018 year. It's May 16th, which is a Wednesday. It's at 7 o'clock, and it's at the Citizens Center, so that's 10 Welcome Street.
Okay.
And
And there's no cost for admission.
There's no cost. We
There's
do want
no-
people to RSVP if they can, however.
Okay, so you
Yes.
can get a head count. Sure.
Right.
Yeah. That sounds great. Yeah.
A couple of the other events I'll talk about real quickly. We're supporting the 30th annual Native American Intertribal Powwow. So that's been taking place for 30 years at Plug Pond.
I know that.
And
yeah.
this is a big year for them, and they're going to step up their performances and what they bring to the event as part of that celebration. And they were awarded a grant this year.
What's the Indian tribe that would have been associated in this area?
I feel like Pentucket.
I'm not going to make that guess, but if you come to our meeting, they're actually going to perform. So May 16th, if you come, they're actually going to do a little performance at our reception.
Yeah.
And it's an intertribal gathering, so it's not any specific tribe. It's Massachusetts intertribal.
That's interesting. You know, Victoria just said the word Pentucket. You know, that was the original name of Haverhill.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes with all the sections, I say we should just change it back to Haverhill and everywhere. I mean Pentucket. Everything's Pentucket.
Oh, isn't Massachusetts named after
That'll never
Massasoit?
happen.
I don't know that.
Isn't Massachusetts named after Massasoit?
Probably.
Yeah.
It sounds. At least you can feel the connection between. Yeah.
Somebody should call in and say that definitively.
Yeah.
Jerry, call in Jerry.
Jerry knows.
Jerry, where are you today?
90 years young.
Right. Jerry's a smart guy. Oh, that's interesting. So,
And then, other things that we do, we support events that come to the library, for instance. We have this Libraries Rock thing, which is all about, you're going to get to learn how to build and fly air-powered rockets and airplanes. And that's going to be in August, on August 3rd at the library. So we are supporting bringing that event in.
those are great events. Make sure you let us know about all those things so we can do public service announcements to help you out.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
You know, the first rocket was launched not too far from here.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Robert got it. In Auburn, Massachusetts, they have a rocket that was dedicated. He was the father of rockets.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a plethora of
He
interesting
is.
little
That's
facts.
why he's great. He's
Useless.
Trivial, but good.
It's good for the radio. Completely. And we really want to make sure that we are trying to get as many people to apply as possible for our grants. So application season, I will reiterate that, is September 1 through October 15th. And you go to the Mass Cultural Council website and look for local cultural councils, and then look for Haverhill.
But when you help out some of these things, like you mentioned, the library and other events, is that all done in that window, or do you have a little bit of reserve money that you can give to somebody that? No.
No, we have to make our grant allocations, and then they are, registered by
it's
the
all
state,
planned
and
in
that's
advance.
it.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right. But
Okay.
we go and support other things that we can't can't fund, because
You can't
that's the
fund,
thing.
but you help them.
Right,
Yeah.
you do it through support and through mentioning what they're doing.
Right.
But that's the thing, we want to do the best for the city. However, that means that sometimes some very valid applicants don't get funded. And we hope that we can give them a little information
year, right?
to apply
Yeah.
next year with a
Yeah.
stronger application.
Sure. Well, it's such a good thing that you're both doing, and that the 14 people on the committee are doing. And did Mayor Ferrantini get this all started?
I think I'm not sure how it started. I know that the Mass Cultural Council probably precedes Mayor Fiorentini.
But he tapped into
He
it
tapped
and said,
into it, yeah.
"Good idea. Let's run with it."
Right.
Good. Yeah, because this is the kind of stuff. I've always said Haverhill is kind of unique, kind of special. But the best thing about Haverhill, I always say, is the people. The people in Haverhill, even though we're a big city, we feel like a small town. We all get along, and pretty much, and we don't we don't have the divisions that I think other communities seem to have.
it
Haverhill's
seems
good
very
people.
small.
Good people work together in Haverhill for the cause.
Are you running for re-election?
No, I'm not. I have their papers don't even come out for another year. So. No, but I've been saying this for probably most of my life, that the people in Haverhill had a downturn at one point, and I lived through that. I'm born and brought up in Haverhill, so I can remember people. Why do you live in Haverhill? And I used to say things like, well, the people in Haverhill, I really, I went to school in Haverhill, I know a lot of people, and I used to say I know where to, go get my shoes fixed, but the cobbler moved. The cobbler moved to Lawrence because but anyway, but.
How ironic at the Shoe City.
That's true.
I know, isn't it? But it's got good people. So that's
And
it.
you've also got people that have been here for a really long time.
Yeah.
So they can continue the history of the city. Plus, we're getting an influx of younger people and new people. So there's
Right.
that nice mix that
It is.
really
That's
makes
the
it
nice mix. We're getting
a great city.
We're growing, but we're doing it in a good way, and I think it's a good city to live in. So what?
I agree.
Bill, you don't live here, but thanks for coming and being a part of our show.
Well, thank you, Bill. I apprate that.
That's all right.
I'd like to see you move, please. Come on up.
You want me to move up
It
here?
could happen.
Sure.
You got a spare bedroom where?
It could happen. no basement.
That's all I ever do is live in the basement.
Yeah.
I was in a building in Boston the other day that I walked into the elevator. The guy attending the elevator turns to me and goes, "Basement?" I mean,
When you said
yeah.
Yeah.
I get no respect.
Did you have your tinfoil hat on? Did you forget to leave it at home?
Yeah.
Only kidding. All right, we are at that time again that we're
Okay.
going to probably wrap it up. Do you want to give any final information, any
Take it,
review?
Victoria.
Take it, Victoria. Speak loud and clear.
I honestly just want to say, definitely when we have that calendar out, if you can come to the event itself, try supporting.
I
some
do
of these
plan to try and
events.
be there that
Yes.
night.
I
It's
saw your
gonna be
RSVP.
fantastic.
Yeah, I do plan to be there, and I wish you all, I think what you're doing is fantastic, and I wish you all the success in the future, and
Thank you.
Keep growing.
And you too. Yeah,
Hopefully
this
they
is
keep
great.
giving you more money.
Well, we'd love that, but
That'd be
that,
awesome.
there gets to be a stagnant part, and we're always fighting to maintain the budgets
I
that
bet
we
you
have
are,
and go
yeah.
and go forward with that.
Yeah, in this day and age.
And one other thing that's going to happen at the grant recipient reception, which is a tough thing to say, by the way, is that there will be volunteer opportunities. You could speak to the different programs and see if there's a nice fit for you if you want to volunteer in the city and haven't quite identified how.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, Alison, Colby-Campbell, Victoria Pham from the Haverhill Cultural Council have been very informative and very fun to talk to. Thank you very much for your presentation, and good luck and I'll be there at your May 16th event at the Citizens Center in Haverhill. Starts at 7.
7 o'clock,
7
yeah.
till about 9.
Right?
No charge for admission, but do RSVP in advance so they can control the crowd. Right?
Or else we'll have to be calling in the cops, you know?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
You bet. Thank you. This is the new open mic. I'm Bill Macek. My co-host is Bill Ellis, and we are going to take a short break. We'll be right back with our next guest right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
It's 6:31.
Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave.
Would it surprise you to know radio still reaches more than 90% of people in every age group every week? It's a fact. And 97.9 WHAV FM's target audience averages 92%. While other media are cutting back, area residents turn to WHAV for local news, information, and entertainment they cannot find elsewhere. Add what has been called the halo effect of public radio, and listeners find business messages more credible and trustworthy than other forms of advertising. For a no-obligation assessment about how WHAV can help your business reach more people than all other local media combined, call 978-374-1900 or visit whav.net.
Wave weather.
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, a chance of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, then becoming mostly clear. Low 41, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high 68, low around 50. Northwest winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The outlook for Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, it will be breezy, high 85, low 61. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are back. We are bringing in our next guest, and this is Diana Clark. And as soon as we get her situated, as we're moving from guest to guest here at the new open mic, we'll have another new conversation. How are you tonight?
Just fine.
Great. Need to get as close as you can on that.
Okay.
Because we want
Sounds good.
everybody to hear you with quality.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So, Diana, you're with Family Outreach Specialist. Or you are a Family Outreach Specialist.
I am a family outreach specialist
And you're
with
with Turnbridge?
Turnbridge,
Turnbridge.
which is a treatment program in New Haven, Connecticut that is long-term
Okay.
for
And-
drug addiction and co-occurring disorders.
Okay, and because you are here tonight, and I believe it's a very important topic, I'm going to just ask you to maybe do an overview of the message you'd like to put out, and then Bill and I will maybe have a few questions. And we also have open lines at 978-374-1900 for anybody that, once we get started, wants to also call in either with a question or a comment. So here we go.
Okay.
All right.
So my basic message, and the one I continue to beat the drum about, is that families can influence members of their family who are struggling with substance use disorders. They may not be able to control it or fix it, but there are ways that we can love people that make it more likely than not that they will get the help that they need.
Is there a foundation that, before you even get to this point, to be when raising your children? And I'll tell you the reason why, what made me think about this. Yesterday I was watching a show out of New Hampshire, which Granite State Trivia or whatever it's called, and the challenge. And some of these kids were brilliant. Does that start at birth, where they nurture these kids to be, what they are? I mean, I'm sure it's not something they all of a sudden pick up at 13 or 14 years old and they become whiz kids. And what I'm trying to say is, these kids have been, I imagine they had to be nurtured right from the beginning. Can you nurture, is there a program or something that families can follow for their children at early ages so they never get to the point of addictions?
So that's a great question. What you're talking about is prevention techniques, correct?
Exactly.
And I think that anything we do that helps build resilience in our kids, open communication, focus on sleep hygiene and physical activity and all of the things that we know we all ought to be doing, we ought to be promoting in our children, limiting screen time, making sure that we are aware of who they are friends with, who they are not friends with, and watch out for danger signals.
How about the family itself? Do you find that some kids, because either their parent or parents are open about using drugs in the home, that they believe it's okay for them to also do the same? Kind of like smoking?
Great point. So again, we do have to model healthy behavior in our children in order to assume that they will follow suit.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And what type, do you have a specialty as far as what type of drug that you counsel, or is it any drug?
So Turnbridge counsels anybody with any kinds of drugs, but I particularly work with the families of those who have loved ones struggling. That's my expertise. We look at addiction as a family disease because what we know is that if for every one person struggling with an addictive disorder, there are 4 others struggling in the family with that person's addiction, and that's just assuming there's only one person struggling.
How do you feel about the legalization of both medical and soon-to-be recreational marijuana?
So the statistics are pretty alarming about the levels of THC that kids are getting a hold of. The issue isn't whether marijuana is addictive anymore. We're really clear that fully 10% or more of people who smoke marijuana will become addicted. And I think that that's a political issue, whether we're going to gain tax revenue from it or not.
And what about it also being called a gateway drug?
I think that that is unquestionably true. The statistics show that if somebody starts experimenting with marijuana or alcohol at the age of 12 or 13, they have a 47% chance of having a substance use issue later on.
Wow. Do you think the marijuana is being legalized, we're selling the soul to the devil? I was listening to it in the budget for the next year coming at Mass. They're counting on $63 million of revenue based on marijuana.
I think that's true. Colorado has experienced way lower taxes and way more increase in marijuana use.
Well, there was a study that just came out a couple of weeks ago, and marijuana does affect how your brain works.
Right.
And it's not for the better, it's for the worse.
That's right. That's right. It's a psychotropic drug. It absolutely changes the way our brain operates. Otherwise, nobody would be using it. So it's creating euphoria in people. It's creating visual and psychic properties that change the way the brain operates. And for some people with a predisposition towards mental health concerns, they are actually becoming psychotic from the use of marijuana.
I was speaking to one of the medical marijuana vendors that was looking to come to Haverhill, and I asked the question about product that relieves pain but doesn't have the THC component in it. I think he said that somewhere around half of the things that they sell are medicinal more than for highs and that type of experience. Are you familiar with that?
So there are two chemical elements in marijuana. One is called THC, which is the psychoactive drug, which makes people high. And then there is CBD, which is considered to be the property that reduces pain and reduces anxiety. And you do not get high from pure CBD. And that is the medicinal piece of marijuana that he was referring to.
And I just recently heard that there are some of the Massachusetts legislatures, members are looking to maybe study to see about the actual benefits that can be derived from the CBD, is it?
Yep.
The CBD and not without the THC.
Correct. There's going to be a lot more research going on.
Now, because I get emails about this stuff all the time, and you have CBD, but they also have hemp. Is there a difference, or does CBD come from hemp?
So
to make people feel they're not getting marijuana?
I think that's a great question too. I am not quite sure. What I know is that hemp is the same plant family, but not exactly the same plant.
It's a broadleaf plant.
Right.
Is this the same hemp that they use to make rope out of?
It is,
Yes.
and it's never been illegal in this country, or at least it's been a long time. Where marijuana, you can't grow it until recently. Hemp has always been a product that could be grown and used for different products. I think they made paper out of it at one time.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story about the sailors. They were told to raise the sails, and they couldn't because they smoked all the rope. But yeah, I mean, back then the sailors were getting high on the ships. I mean, what else was there to do?
Is that a true story?
That is a true story. Google it, Will.
Yeah, okay. All right. What would the listeners? What do you think that they should know if they have a family member? Should they?
Yeah. What do they
advocate for them to go seek help from somebody such as yourself?
And what are some of the telltale signs?
So telltale signs of youthful drug use are change in friends, change in sleep habits, change in diet, change in attitude, reduction in school activities, reduction in grades. Those are real red flags, particularly if those go on for a couple of weeks. But if somebody has a loved one who's struggling with an addictive disorder, they need professional help. It is a disease. It is a medical condition that needs professional care.
Are there programs like Al-Anon for alcohol? I mean, family members to help deal?
Yes, AA is for the person who struggles with an alcoholic issue. Al-Anon is for the family program for the family members of those struggling. There's also great organizations in Massachusetts. Learn to Cope has a lot of meetings in the Massachusetts area, which are support systems for family members who have loved ones struggling.
So is the current, like Colorado and the states that already have the current legal medical marijuana and also some recreational in some of those states, is it something that is the use growing, do you think? Or is it just people that used to buy it on the street corner that are now buying it maybe safer? That's the only thing that I see as a benefit, that if they're buying it from a drug dealer, who knows what's in it?
That's right.
Especially they're
pot
even
could be laced with fentanyl
in this day and age, right? So, I mean, you don't know what you're getting, really. But if you buy it from a licensed provider in the state, I would think that they're definitely heavily regulated. And
I think that's a really solid point.
A cleaner or a more a safer product.
It's regulated.
Right.
I see where Elizabeth Warren wants to co-sponsor a bill with a politician, a Republican, I'm not sure if he's a congressman or a senator from Colorado, to make it so that the state has the say so on marijuana versus the federal government having the final say.
You know what? I think that's a good. I would support that bill. I think that's a very smart move. I think the fact that states, what are we up to? Around 10, 11 states that have voted it in, or is it more?
I think I think
more.
medical marijuana is legal or will be legal in more than that.
More than that. So, and all of those states really are breaking the federal law. You know, they're going against federal law to license it in a similar way. It's almost like becoming a sanctuary state for marijuana. That we're not going to follow the federal law, and it's voted in, but that's where we're at now. I don't know if you're aware, but Haverhill voted in favor of both medical and recreational marijuana. The recently appointed Cannabis Control Commission has actually come up with a designation for communities that voted for it or voted against it as to what you have to do in providing marijuana. So we have to maybe have as many as 5 retail marijuana shops versus Lawrence and Methuen that didn't vote for recreational marijuana. They can put on a moratorium, say no marijuana sales. So we didn't know. I don't believe that was brought out when it was being voted on statewide. So what they've done is they've carved up the regulations so that depending on how your community voted, determines what's going to be the responsibility of the community to properly provide access. So we're worried in Haverhill that we're going to have a lot of border jumping, and like we're going to be the place that people come for drugs. So we're going to take a short break, and would you mind answering that right after we take a break?
Sure.
Okay, or at least your thoughts on it. Thank you very much. We're talking to Diana Clark, a family outreach specialist from Turnbridge Addiction Treatment Center in New Haven, Connecticut. And this is the new open mic. I'm Bill Macek. My co-host Bill Maxwell.
That's your
Bill Ellis.
It's your alias.
Bill Ellis. That's my
in
radio
13 out
name
of 50
for
states in
many
this
years,
country.
Right. Anyway, we'll be right back and talk more about this. And don't forget, the lines are open, 978-374-1900 on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
The Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom turns out local programs every day and night. Tune in for local news, community spotlight, and the open mic show. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
How does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? This is a question you'll probably ask yourself when you follow another hilarious adventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve.
Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. on WHAV.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new open mic show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Back again on the new open mic, and we are talking right now with Diana Clark, a family outreach specialist from Turnbridge Addiction Treatment in New Haven, Connecticut. She came over specially so that she could speak to our audience about all of the concerns that she has, all the specialization that she has in treating, and her knowledge about drug addiction. So I had asked you about whether you were aware and how you felt about the fact that Cannabis Control Commission in Massachusetts has divvied up the communities, the 351 different communities, based on the total vote of recreational marijuana. What do you think? Is that a good idea?
Well, I do think that if they are going to be allowing certain dispensaries and retail shops based on that vote, that the voters should have been aware of that as they cast it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it might have made a difference because I just think it puts another whole facet into what you're considering when you vote on it. So,
That's right.
yeah. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, a family member that had concerns or that, how could they reach you?
They could reach me at Turnbridge Addiction Treatment, so that would be D. Clark at TP, T as in Thomas, P as in Peter, addictiontreatment.com.
Okay, great. And also, I would gladly offer that if somebody didn't get that down or was missing a letter or a dot or something, they can contact me, and I'll be happy to.
Thank you. Thank you.
WHAV would be happy to pass along your contact information.
Thank you very much.
How many of the surrounding states have passed legalizing marijuana?
Is Connecticut either
No.
medical or
I
recreational?
think it is medical at this point. Vermont is medical and is heading towards recreational.
Okay, yeah. And other than that, is it Maine? Maine is Maine, do you
Maine.
know? They are, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
They're just medical also?
No, I think they're both.
Both?
I think they're both, yeah.
Yeah,
Are you sure? Did the governor veto that?
I don't know. I don't know, but, it's something that I think should be a state decision. I think that idea is a great one, that the feds should get out of the game and marijuana should be controlled state by state.
And I think it's really important that the community know that there are some dangers associated with addiction and marijuana. It is not a harmless substance.
Right. We have a phone call at 978-374-1900. Let's take our first call. Hello.
Good evening, Bill. How are you?
Hi, Jerry. I'm good. How are you?
Well, I was thinking of that I shouldn't go on because I'm concerned that I might start crying,
Well, I know you have a personal message, but if you'd like to share some of that with Diana or all the listeners, but it's a good message for everybody to know.
Bill, at the same time, I thought I might make a difference, I agree totally with your guest tonight. I would say that it is a gateway drug. Our son who passed last October, a year ago, last October 6th, in October of 16. That's how he started with marijuana.
Jerry, how old was he when he passed away?
27.
And when did he start? Or when did you recognize?
Oh, we had been, when he was like 15.
Yeah. I mean, the odds of having a substance use disorder later on, if you start smoking pot in your young teenage
he
years.
Developed, as a result of later on, he developed, the dreaded disease from dirty needles.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's tragic.
But you said I agree totally with you. I forgot what your name is.
Diana.
It is a gateway drug, and the thing that kind of concerns me, I'm kind of a chemist. I was a chemist. And the material that we're talking about that provides the high, that's supposed to be the good part of marijuana, actually, they can make that synthetically, can't they?
So there have been attempts such as K2 and Spice to duplicate marijuana's psychoactive properties, and those are actually just as, if actually more dangerous than what we're finding with plain marijuana. People are getting really psychotic really quickly and having trouble in emergency rooms.
You know what I find interesting, though, is with the legalized marijuana, if somebody has a CDL license, they're not supposed to use any drugs at all. But if I walked into a room, if I had a CDL and somebody was smoking and I absorbed it, through breathing, that 2 weeks from now, if I get drug tested, it's going to come back positive.
No, I don't think that's true. You'd have to actually be sitting in a closet with 10 people smoking in order for that to probably show up as
The
positive.
concentration isn't enough to trigger the test.
Really?
As I said, it started, when he was like 15, and we had I have a very good medical plan, and in the plan that I had, your children until they were 18, were provided health care, and we had them in so many halfway houses and treatment centers, and I can't count them on both hands.
I know. I mean, there are so
the
many
whole
families.
family.
And is it like a roller coaster? They get off, they think they're clean,
yeah,
and
it
then, as
affects
you
the
said, the
whole
friends
family.
sometimes attract them back to the drug.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried and tried and tried. And then, as I said, I knew there was something wrong that weekend, that he hadn't come up to see us that weekend. And so I sent my other two sons down, and they found him, and that's what happened.
I'm so sorry.
We're so
God
sorry,
bless him, Jerry.
Jerry, we're so
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sorry,
And
but we missed him so much.
I'll bet.
I'm sure you do.
I'll bet. And thank you so much for calling in. I think that the
Tell
more...
me something. Could you outline for the listening audience what you feel would be a balanced program to address this opiate problem?
What
that
do
we
I
have
think
here
would
in
be a balanced
Massachusetts?
program? Well, I think it would be a combination of things. I think it would
Yeah,
be...
that's what I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Jerry, we're getting close to the end. We have one more call. I want to thank you very much, and we are all so sorry about your
Thank you for
loss.
sharing your story, Jerry.
I hope I can make a difference.
You probably
already
have,
did.
Probably
just
have
by
already.
your call. Absolutely. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, we're on to our next caller here at the open mic. Good evening. Hello? Are you there? Hold 1 second. No? Well, Chris, you might want to ask that caller to call back, and it'll come in on the other line, because the line coming in here, unless he's going to come in...
Chris will fix it. He
will
fixes
fix it. Maybe.
everything.
That's why he's the producer. Chris, are you coming in? Or are you...
He doesn't know how to open the door.
He
That's the
can't-
only problem.
He can't get in. No, that's not the case. Anyway, we are having a good conversation to the top of this hour with Diana Clark, Family Outreach Specialist from Turnbridge Addiction Treatment in New Haven, Connecticut. And if you'd like to reach out to her, or you can contact us here at WHAV or myself anytime, and we'll pass along her contact information. Okay, we're going to try again. Hello, caller.
Hi there, am I on the air?
Yes, you are on the air.
Hi there. I'm actually working in cannabis industry. I actually run or manage a hydroponics store, and pretty much most of my customers / employees, they deal with marijuana on a day-to-day basis, and I think I'd have some good input to this. I'd first like to say my condolences to Jerry. That's a terrible story, and I think opioids are clearly on the headhunt of this, of why we're even thinking about bringing marijuana to the legality of it. So my condolences to Jerry, but I think what we're going to find out is that for the time being, until we can actually thoroughly declassify this to a Schedule 2, Schedule 3, somewhere in that range, that without medical research, you'll find this kind of split decision of the psychoactive part of it, the THC, and the actual health benefits of the CBD. They actually go hand in hand as far as chemically, and you'll actually find out that with further research, we'll probably be able to actually figure out how can we actually medically help these people with the CBD, healing side of this, and minimizing the THC psychoactive side of things. I think that's where we're going to find where this industry will be going as far as medically, and then if you actually want to throw in the recreational, the fun side of things, that's all well and good too. But I think that's where you'll see what's going to happen. But because of the federal scheduling of the drug, we can't test it. There's very little medical marijuana testing.
Okay, caller, I gotta cut you off. We're almost out of time, and I want to give Diana an opportunity to comment on that or say anything to wrap up this portion of our show.
Thank you, caller.
Thanks for your input on that. I would love to veer off the subject of marijuana for a minute and talk more about what families can do if they suspect a loved one.
As short as you can. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
First of all, love and connection does make a difference. It counts. The second thing is, don't make it more comfortable to be an addict. Actually allow natural consequences to occur. And 3, just make sure that they get the help they need.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
And
much.
what
It's
you
very
do
informative.
You're almost like an angel on earth for the kind of care you give to people, because it's so important. I'm sure you save lives constantly that you're working on getting people from going off the deep end. And I want to thank you for coming in to our show tonight, and we'll probably welcome you back, but we will definitely pass along your information. We've been listening to and conversing with Diana Clark, Family Outreach Specialist from Turnbridge Addiction Treatment in New Haven, Connecticut. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Okay. This is the new Open Mic, and we'll be right back after our top of the hour break right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 7:01.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening in local news. After a 4-day manhunt, the man accused of killing a Maine sheriff deputy was arrested in a wooded area early Saturday afternoon. 29-year-old John Williams, who had been arrested last month in Haverhill on unrelated gun charges, was captured in a Fairfield, Maine recreation area. Maine State Police Lieutenant Colonel John Cody revealed details during a press briefing.
This morning, one of our teams was able to locate John D. Williams outside a small remote camp in the area of Lost Brook.
Somerset County Sheriff Dale Lancaster confirmed reports Williams was restrained at about 12:45 Saturday using the handcuffs of murdered Corporal Eugene Cole.
We did use Corporal Cole's handcuffs. I felt that it was fitting where he killed my deputy, Corporal Gene Cole, and he was brought to justice using Cole's handcuffs.
A 13-year veteran of the force, Cole is said to have been involved in the recent arrest of Williams' girlfriend, pointing to a possible motive for the killing. Williams is also accused of stealing Cole's police cruiser and robbing a convenience store in the town of Norwich Walk, Maine. According to the Essex County District Attorney's Office, Williams was due to appear in Haverhill District Court Wednesday to answer to charges of improper storage of an unlicensed firearm and possession of a large-capacity firearm, a 9mm Smith & Wesson with a 16-round magazine, in addition to automobile-related charges. Williams was arraigned on March 22nd, posting $5,000 bail, reduced from the state's originally asked for $10,000 on March 31st. 4 Haverhill residents are among the 45 Merrimack Valley area individuals indicted in New Hampshire's largest ever fentanyl bust, the Drug Enforcement Administration said this week. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Concord, New Hampshire, tracked a drug ring centered in Lawrence for more than a year, determining that brothers Sergio and Raulin Martinez ran a vast network of dealers who sold in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Haverhill's Ferdinand Miranda, 23, Alexander Noonan, 20, Miguel Alvarez, 27, and Trevor Ahern, 28, are charged with participating in a conspiracy to distribute and possession with intent to distribute fentanyl. The indictments follow an April 9th sweep involving more than 100 federal and state officials who took 15 participants in the ring into custody. Haverhill's Noonan is among the 8 defendants that have not yet been taken into custody. More than 30 kilograms of suspected fentanyl, 2 guns, and more than $500,000 were seized during the investigation, authorities said. Individuals from nearby Methuen and Plastow, New Hampshire, have also been indicted in the trafficking conspiracy. As the race to succeed the 3rd District's Niki Tsongas heats up, the Haverhill Democratic City Committee invites voters to meet the candidates on Monday, May 7th. The city political group will welcome those on the ballot to a public meet and greet dinner at Maria's Restaurant, 81 Essex Street, Haverhill. The meal starts at 5:30 p.m., and candidates will rotate from table to talk with voters from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Members of the public are invited for a $5 fee. The admission charge is waived for students. Candidates expected to attend include Alexandra Chandler, Senator Barbara Italian, Daniel Coe, Beej Das, Rufus Guilford, Patrick Littlefield, Bofa Malone, Representative Juana Matias, Keith St. John, Lori Trahan, Leonard Golder, and Jeff Ballinger. To reserve a ticket, call Roz at 978-373-4032.
Business Bulletin.
Members of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce are gathering Wednesday, May 2nd from 5 to 7 p.m. at Newburyport's Essex Street Inn for a networking and referral mixer. Complimentary appetizers and raffles take place during the evening event held at 7 Essex Street. Tickets available by calling 978-686-0900 are $10 for members and $20 for future members. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Kim Whiting.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Nick Harper. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has revealed evidence that he says proves Iran has been covertly pursuing nuclear weapons. Around 25 people have been killed in 2 targeted bombings in the Afghan capital, Kabul. And Central American migrants who've spent several weeks travelling to the US-Mexico border have been told by American officials their asylum claims cannot be processed.
Wave weather.
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, a chance of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, then becoming mostly clear. Low 41, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high 68, low around 50. Northwest winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The outlook for Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, it will be breezy, high 85, low 61. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
97.9 WHAV is the only FM station assigned to the City of Haverhill. Your membership is critical to continued operation. It's easy to join. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net. 97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back in the 7 o'clock hour. I'm Bill Macek, also my co-host Bill Ellis, and our guest this hour is Beej Das, a candidate, congressional candidate for the Niki Tsongas seat, as we affectionately call it, or the 3rd District, right?
Bill, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
You're welcome.
I'm going to correct your pronunciation of my name, though. Last name is Das.
Oh.
And
how do you spell it?
D-A-S.
Das, like Haagen-Dazs?
That's right. Well,
it'd be easy to remember for you, Bill.
Thank you for
now
doing that, because I've been saying "dur" and to numerous people, and nobody ever corrected me.
That's why my name recognition is so low. Bill.
You have to have it.
I need
Change your name to James Michael Curley. You'll be all set.
As long as they can spell it or see it.
Or Beej Tsongas, whichever one. Whichever one will work. No, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here back up in Haverhill and chat a little bit about the campaign and whatever else that makes sense.
What is your message and how does it differ from the other candidates?
Yeah, I think, look, there's a clear differentiation between me and the rest of the field. I'm the only one who has a business in the district and employs. We employ 75 people in the district. So day in and day out, I've got issues to deal with: small business regulation, taxation, payroll, all of it. So I'm actually running my business while I run this campaign, full-time CEO, and I'm running this campaign. And I want to show people that, A, it can be done, that you can be pragmatic and still be a Democrat. I think, the Democrats, the reason President Trump won is we've lost the middle. Paul Tsongas used to say you can't be anything unless you have a strong economy. And I believe that. Look all around, whether it's Haverhill, whether it's Lowell, whether it's Lawrence, whether it's Fitchburg, these are communities.
Well, that was the message in Clinton's campaign. It's the economy, stupid.
Yeah,
Remember
and
that
I think
well?
we forgot that. We forgot how we, Democrats have forgotten how to win. We are complaining too much about things that don't matter. And, I think we need wholesale leadership change. So, I care about a lot of the social issues, don't get me wrong. But nothing matters unless you can educate yourself, feed yourself, put a house over a roof over your head. So those are the things that I think Democrats have really forgotten as we argue about things that, how much angrier we can be about Trump is not going to be how we're going to,
He's not going away.
No, I don't think so.
And I read Facebook and so forth, and a lot of people think a miracle's going to happen. He's going to be bounced, and Hillary's going to show back up. It's not going to happen.
No, that's not in the chain.
Well,
if he were to be bounced,
I'm telling you, Billy,
then it's Pence, President.
Well, here's the deal. This is what they're talking about. Trump will be bounced. Pence will go into the presidency. He'll appoint Hillary as the vice president, and then Pence is going to step down, and Hillary will be put in the position. Billy, I have a better chance to become pope.
Yeah, you're
Would
right.
you vote for me as pope? I'd give you absolution or whatever you want.
I have to see your resume updated. Okay, Beej.
But sorry to get back to you.
Let's talk about
I'll take an early vote. I'll take an early vote.
Let's talk about what you. We had a discussion, before the show, and you're also not just running your business. You're also thinking about the district and things that you want to do in the district, and what will you bring to the district, not from your personal life, but from being in Congress? What are the things you want to have happen? Like, I'll mention one. Niki Tsongas, I think, has always been a big veteran supporter.
Yeah, true. Well, look, she did a lot for military families and women in the military. We obviously want to make sure we continue that. The 3rd District has a huge role in military expenditures, and we want to make sure we continue to capture for our businesses, and there are plenty of them in the district, and we know because plenty of them stay at our hotel in Tyngsboro, but that's only a piece of it, right? There are significant areas of concern. I start with the economic issue. I think we want to see economic revitalization in our big cities. Haverhill is a great example. I love what Mayor Fiorentini has done with the development, and what you as the city council and the school committees have done with the redevelopment of Washington Street, and as you get onto Main Street, the Harbor Place development is a shining example of what a town, or I should say a city, well-positioned and strategically thinking can do. But that's only step 1 or step 2 of a multi-step process to bring Haverhill back to its glory days from 100 years or 100 plus ago with manufacturing base, etc. I think you have to set the foundation for that type of development. So I'm looking at it not only Haverhill, but places like Lawrence are tougher. Right? Lawrence is further away from that revitalization. Lowell has, the university has spent a lot of money there, but I haven't seen the same type of development outside where the university has control.
Okay, yeah.
So, those are, broadly speaking, a big issue is economic development.
So you want to try and stimulate the economic development in the community.
You have to, because if people don't have good jobs and they don't have hope, that's when you get all the other follow-on issues, right? So let's talk about opioid crisis, right? It's, if people can't pay for and fund mental health training and education and treatment, that's going to be a problem. If people don't have hope, they often are more susceptible to the type of disease that addiction is.
Right.
And that's a major area. So I live in downtown Lowell. Our office is in downtown Lowell, and it is sad. It's sad to see the number of people affected by this crisis who are just hanging on. And as a country, I think we can't disserve our society and our fellow citizens by not giving those who are, and this is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue.
No,
This is
it's
a
not.
human issue that we must figure out a way of addressing. But, beyond the crisis, and I think this is a major crisis, we have so many other issues that we need to deal with. Education. Our kids are coming out of school with so much debt and often no jobs for the amount of money they've spent on fancy online degrees, for example. That's a racket. Let's try to make sure that our kids are getting educated for the jobs that are out there. The skills gap is huge. Underemployment is huge. The gig economy, how's that going to fit, right? We as an employer, we employ, again, 75 people in the district, 125 total in our company. I'm competing against the Ubers and Amazons and Lyft and all the other companies out there that no longer pay wages.
Right.
But
Right,
are
and
paying
don't have a
consultants.
lot of bricks and mortar.
Don't have any.
What's the business that you operate?
So our company is called Troca Hotels, and it owns small boutique hotels. But what we do is we buy hotels in places that need the economic development. One of the things, that attracted us to Lowell was that, our hotel there is called Stonehedge. It's in Tyngsboro, right next door. And it, oddly enough, was built as this place for the rich and famous, but it had fallen on hard times. And we said, well, what a great opportunity to bring it back into the community. And we downscaled it so it's no longer, full luxury. It's approachable luxury. It's what we call lifestyle luxury. But now people are coming in, people from the community, whether it's, our friends in the police department and fire department or school teachers or others. They're actually using the property and it's becoming a hub. That's the type of work that I think, is important because we actually employ people. We pay good wages, and Uber doesn't do that. Uber says, "Hey, can you take a guy from downtown to the airport? I'll give you $42, and by the way, for the hour that your car is running, you're going to pay the wear and tear on it. You're going to get no benefits. And meanwhile, forget about it from their perspective. Uber itself doesn't have to pay anything, so that we're getting a double whammy. And so I talk about this all the time. Look around you. Most of your neighbors and most of your friends own a small business. That's how they make their money. Small businesses don't get a fair shake, and Democrats have been oddly silent about this.
Yeah.
These are small businesses. These are how, I like to say this because it affects me. There is often no difference or very little difference between your highest paid employee and the owner, because the highest paid employee at least gets a paycheck and has that right. The owner sometimes takes nothing home. I've not taken a paycheck from my company in years because we've been building it.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Right.
The saying that pay yourself first, not when you're the owner.
Not when you're the owner.
We got to take a break right now, but we'll be back, and we're talking to congressional candidate Beej Das, right?
Beej Das.
Beej Das.
I'm
sorry.
By the time I leave here, Bill's got to.
I'll have it down.
He'll be
Spell
singing
it for him.
Yeah, I'll spell it for him.
Yeah, all right. No, all right. This is the new open mic. I'm Bill Macek, and Bill Ellis is here as co-host, and Beej, our congressional candidate. I'm just going to do your first name. I can do that one. We'll be right back right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
So,
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave.
Hi, Tom Bergeron here. I started at WHAV in 1972. And look, WHAV's still here, but it won't be if you don't help support it. Go to WHAV.net. Become a contributor.
keep us going.
Community Spotlight.
Northern Essex Community College invites Merrimack Valley children and teens to take part in the 20th anniversary session of the school's College for Kids program, which will merge this year with the NECC STEM Academy. For 4 weeks, starting in July, students in grades 2 through 10 can learn and explore all things science, technology, engineering, and math, in addition to the College for Kids mainstay physical activity and arts program. To register or for more information, contact Alicia at 978-556-3332. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at whav.net or email news@whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Robin Fancher.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are back on the new Open Mic. And where were we when we stopped? Do you remember?
You were trying to pronounce his name.
No, yeah, that was... All right.
Try it, Billy. His last name is Das.
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 No, it's not. Is it Das?
Das.
Oh. Oh, okay. All right.
Just think if it's...
I see.
Now, you being dyslexic, you're going to say sad.
No.
Well, this is great.
I mean, he's terrible. You know, he's dyslexic. He talks about women's bill.
But I've also
Get
spoken
it, Bill?
about,
That's lib backwards.
You know, in the effort of full disclosure, that I spent most of my radio career on air as Bill Maxwell because Macek is a tough last name.
That's true.
And I had a professional name for on air. And
what was it? You used another name.
I used actually the name Rick Adams because I was told I was working as Bill Maxwell at one station, working at another station that had a similar contour for broadcast competition. Said you can't be here as Bill Maxwell. I said okay. They said just to come up with a name, so I came up with Rick Adams.
I've come up with many an alias myself. That's not me.
It sounds like President Trump when he calls into.
Oh, you heard about that, Barron?
Well, no, I've never used it in any phony or false way. It's just been.
Yeah, you're in a dating service. I've seen it.
Are you using my name again?
I have, and they're actually very happy. so don't disappoint me.
All right, enough of that. All right.
Well, since we're talking about names, I'll mention something. So we had a ad campaign out that was really successful. We got, I think, almost 70,000 views on a viral ad, and basically poking fun of my name and bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
So, people are getting used to the name, right? It's not an usual name. People don't necessarily know me, but one of the things that I think people realize once they get to meet me that I'm just a kid.
Now, were you born in America?
I was. I was born in what was in Woburn. So I was, we're the 3rd district now in Lowell. Lowell used to be the 5th district. I was born in what is currently the 5th
You didn't drink any of that Grace water, did you?
You know what? It's funny you say that. My dad actually knew the engineer who died, the town engineer who said the water was safe. But we lived in Burlington, so a different municipal water supply, thankfully. But yeah, very sad what happened.
How do you feel about the federal government helping communities out? The Army Corps of Engineers is great to tell us all the things they mandate that we need to do to improve our flow that gets into the Merrimack River, say. But there are no programs for us to borrow federal dollars. Now, I know the federal government's pretty much, they'll say bankrupt, but it's still, there's money there for different purposes.
Yeah.
And I think that if and when you're successful, I think that it would be nice if you would review any ability to make programs available for communities. It doesn't have to be a grant.
Yeah.
But it just has to help us because we sometimes can't do things because we can't with 2.5 cap, and we can only go so high anyway. We can't go as fast as they want us to, and then they want to fine us. And the Merrimack River is cleaner than it used to be, but there are still a number of treatment plants that spill into it. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed as soon as possible, but I think we need to have some compassion from the federal government for the problems we have.
I think you're right. I mean, I think fundamentally we need a slight redistribution of our priorities on spend, right? I mean, we talk all the time about infrastructure and public transport. But we're not putting the dollars behind these investments. These aren't.
Why isn't that? I mean, do we not have the money? I realize we're $20 trillion in debt, but it seems like we find money to spend it on things that don't pertain to us, like illegal aliens.
Well, I think you're right. Look, I mean, I've always looked at it and said, our military spending has to be reallocated, right?
Lessons, you mean?
And so, yeah, I mean, I think we need to, right-size military spending. And that's a hard thing to talk about without getting, I'm not talking about reducing what we spend on Veterans Affairs. We need to increase Veterans Affairs spending in terms of services for our veterans. We need to increase and better pay our veterans, I should say our active military, and provide better post-retirement support for veterans. We end up spending less on human issues and more to the big contractors, right? These are defense contractors that have an incredibly strong lobby. And President Trump, when he got into office, remember he made a big row about how much they were spending on Air Force One. Well, he didn't follow through with it. That's my issue with him.
Yeah.
But
okay.
They didn't reduce the cost? I thought Boeing came down.
They came down, but then they added some things back in the line. It's still an expensive and inordinately expensive a project. And in my opinion,
But he didn't start that project, though. That plane was ordered the prior administration.
Right. So you order for like an administration in advance, right? So you never get in the plane. That you don't get to choose your
One section of the bill, I mean, top secret, they got a Stormy Daniels section in the back.
Soundproof.
Exactly.
So fundamentally, didn't Scott Pruitt actually have a soundproof room put in? It was like a $60,000 or $40,000.
This room's soundproof, so why they get the foam on the walls.
We'll put Pruitt in here. We'll save everybody some money. We can rent it out. But fundamentally, if we can reallocate even 1% of the defense spending that we have onto significant investments in our roads and our public transport and our riverways, right? I mean, we're talking about trillions of dollars right there. Mm-hmm. So, I agree with you. I think not only do we need to reallocate some of it, but we have to look at ways that smaller communities can find funding, either through bond issues that are backed by the federal government or through grants for things that are don't just affect, cleaning up the Merrimack for the contact point where Haverhill hits it doesn't just help Haverhill. It helps everybody down and upstream. And so those are things that we have to think about.
Right. And one of the things that we're doing in Haverhill is we're putting in a shoreline well so that it's not going to draw right from the weather. There is some natural filtration through the soils before it's gathered. But I don't like hearing that all the communities upriver are spilling, toxin waste and just, regular human waste into the river every time it rains hard because they can't handle it. I think we got to find a way to address that.
Yeah, true.
Who picked up the expense in Flint, Michigan? Does anybody know?
I don't know who actually picked it up, but
I think there was a significant expense borne by the state, but I think the feds came in.
That was a real tragedy. I mean, that
was terrible.
Unbelievable.
Poisoning people just to save a buck.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the water that came out of the tap was actually colored.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, I mean,
Did it catch fire? What was it there that was catching fire? No.
I don't know, but those are the kind of things that just.
You're thinking about New York, probably. That's the
might have been, or someplace that has fracking or something like that, where the water catches fire. But no, the Flint, Michigan thing was terrible.
You wouldn't need Red Bull if you drank that stuff, right?
So Red Bull and a little contaminated. So a little Love Canal cocktail.
We might put it on at our bar. Let me know when you're stopping by.
Yeah, after the third drink, you won't care what's in the glass.
It'll be in the mini bar in the room.
No, but yeah, I mean, what you say is so true. But the defense spending, though, I mean, I don't know if you follow, but the Chinese are spending money on their military like they're going to war.
Yeah.
And I think Trump maybe is cognizant of that. But the other thing is you take a look at the militaries, you see the saber rattling that takes place with China and the United States. You take Russia and the United States. But if this country got destroyed by nuclear war, they'd starve themselves. They get a lot of their food from here.
Yeah, true. Look, I look at it a little bit differently. I think nuclear, first of all, we need to work harder to reduce the threat of nuclear war, right? I mean, just let's put it on the table. We are 2 minutes from midnight on the doomsday clock. It's the closest we've been since 1953. That's unacceptable. Like we're sitting here. If there was a nuclear accident, a trigger fails, how many times have you pressed a button on any of the devices in this office and it doesn't work, or it works too slow? Now imagine our nuclear weapons are controlled by fancier, more expensive versions of those buttons, but they fail. So I'm very concerned about nuclear.
You ever see the movie Failsafe?
I haven't. Should I?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. If you look at the statistics, though, in the last 20 years, we've had accidents, and if it weren't for some lucky event, we would have had a nuclear catastrophe, right? And so there are a certain number of those that is too high for the power of a nuclear weapon.
Right, yeah. It's something that needs to be thought out and dealt with, because we are, always at risk of somebody pressing a button they shouldn't be pressing and creating, disaster for the world. We have to take a break right now. This is the new open mic. We're talking with Beej Das. I'm not looking at the card.
Just think of Häagen-Dazs.
I think I wrote down Dur in my date book, and that's why I've always called it.
Because you've been a big fan of machinery, farm machinery. You think of John Dur.
On my ballot, I'm going to have to put a quote and say Dur, just in case, just to capture those voters too.
No, but they'll find Beej, Beej, right?
Yep.
Okay, that'll be there. So as long as they can find that, they don't.
That's right.
You could be like Cher. You don't even need a second.
I don't really need a
Beej.
name.
It's all you need.
I'll just go by a symbol.
All right. This is the new
That was the
open
greatest
mic.
thing in the world when
We'll
Prince
be right
did
back
that.
with Beej on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
It's 7:32.
Are you listening to WHAV on cable television? If so, join WHAV in thanking the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel.
Catch the wave.
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out, and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning, right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather.
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, a chance of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, then becoming mostly clear. Low 41, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high 68, low around 50. Northwest winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The outlook for Wednesday, mostly sunny skies. It will be breezy, high 85, low 61. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
So we're here with Beej Das.
Beej Das.
Yep, see, we got it right.
3 times. Beej Das, Beej Das, Beej Das. And Beej is a congressional candidate for the 3rd District, which is known as the Niki Tsongas seat, around here at least. So Beej has given us a lot of great information about your candidacy, your background, and is there anything else you want to add to maybe what you do, what you've done?
What's the message you want to have people take away from
your
tonight?
Message for why they should check the box for you.
Yeah, you know what? Look, we have a constitutional crisis brewing in Washington. That's something that a constitutional lawyer like me can address.
What's your thoughts on the Second Amendment?
Look, the Second Amendment is, it was written a long time ago.
As was the first.
And I think, the meaning of the Second Amendment has changed just like the meaning of the first has. I'll be honest. So let me give you an example of both. First Amendment has changed because the Patriot Act is violative of the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment, right? But we've decided as a country that things like the Boston Marathon bombing prove to us that a little bit more government intrusion is okay. Now, I was a very liberal constitutional lawyer in my when I started my career, but then as you
get more conservative.
Well, I get more realistic. I said, I don't want to lose a limb.
Yeah,
right?
isn't that the adage?
Email has to be
a
open.
Conservative is a liberal that's been mugged.
Or what did Rudy Giuliani used to say? If you're not a liberal in your youth, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative when you're older, you have no brain.
And I think Winston Churchill said the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I think we can all, be a mix of all of these things. But I will tell you, I think the First Amendment is different today than it was, because there was no email, right? There was no Snapchat. None of that was there. So the First Amendment has changed. Well, think about it. The Second Amendment, within the Second Amendment, back during Prohibition, we were able to limit Tommy guns. We were able to eliminate Tommy guns. That Tommy gun compared to what we have today,
is like a musket.
It's a musket. So, I believe in reasonable regulation. Does a human being have some right to a weapon for personal protection? Sure, because we're never ever in society we'll never be able to prevent that first death, right? Anyone can go crazy and kill with almost anything. It's the question is how many deaths do we allow before the government can stop it? And that's the way I
don't think the government can ever stop it.
I think you can. Listen.
You may be able to reduce it.
The police function of our states are getting really good. Think about cities like Haverhill, Lawrence, Lowell, where police forces. I know there's a discussion about whether we have enough police in Haverhill, but the question fundamentally is, if you've got someone with a handgun, police response in most major American cities is pretty quick. It's not going to take, it's not hours. It's minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have high-powered weapons that are legal and people can, buy thousands of rounds of ammunition like we saw in Vegas, well, then you have a recipe for disaster.
I agree with you on that point there. You shouldn't be allowed to, because that fella had planned on killing a whole lot more people than
Right.
actually get killed.
Absolutely. Hey, we got a call. Let's go to the phones. 978-374-1900 is the number. And we do have a caller on one of our lines. Hello, caller. Hello.
Hi, Bill. Jim Fiorentini. How are you?
Hello, Mayor. Great. How are
And
you?
I know the name, Beej Das. I can pronounce it. I never name
Mayor, you want a job on the show? You can
He's
pronounce
going to be a
that.
guest, though. We did discuss we're going to bring him in as
Is
a
he
guest.
really?
You know,
Yeah.
I know people that have known me for 20 years that can't pronounce my name.
They just call you Mr. F.
My son teaches at Able High School. The kids can't pronounce his name. They call him Mr. F. And it's good and it's bad. They like him, so I like that. But on the other hand, we need to make more of an effort in America to, learn ethnic names and learn people's names. But Mr. Das, I want to thank you very much for your interest in our city, and we would love to have you here as a business person, and we'll continue our discussions. But I'm very interested in your stance on NAFTA. I read that in the paper. I'm fascinated. I think NAFTA was a tremendous mistake, and I'd love to hear you talk about that. I'll hang up now and listen to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you,
Thank
Mayor.
you for your call.
Look, I think Mayor, Fiorentini is right. And NAFTA was a huge mistake, and here's why. We started talking about China. If you look at back in the day on trade, and it's really important to analyze it this way. If you look back in the day when we were buying salt and spices from other countries, things that we did not produce in sufficient quantities here. I like to use the mangoes and bananas, right? We're never going to be the world's biggest producer of mangoes or bananas. So no matter how many mangoes or bananas we bought from abroad, we were fine. But think about Haverhill and think about the shoe industry in particular, right? When we started buying shoes abroad and we said, it doesn't matter if we make them here anymore. We'll buy thousands of them from other places. That displaced a complete industry. Now, you can make a high-end shoe and have workers making high-end shoes making good money. Now, the problem is what has happened is we've created all these multilateral trade agreements, right? The multilateral trade agreement is a problem, and NAFTA is a problem in particular because our issues with our issues with Mexico and our issues with Canada are very different.
Correct. Yep.
The issues we have. So you're trying to take one agreement to deal with both. In science, you call that a multivariate analysis problem.
But
Too many variables.
But didn't the president say that he was going to make allowances for both those two countries?
Yeah, well, scrap NAFTA and create what I am pushing, and I don't think anybody else in the Democratic field is.
Nation by nation?
Nation by nation, bilateral trade agreements, and you make them balanced trade. What does that mean? You sell me something, I'll sell you something back. And if it doesn't, next month we'll put a tariff to balance it off. What will that do? Just think concretely. Look in this studio right now. Almost everything I can see that's electronic is made in China, right? Except for the EV stuff that's probably not, right? But at the end of the day, when you make stuff in China, it's going there because the labor is so cheap.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Now, if China, let's say, had an imbalance of $100 billion in February, that's huge. Let's use a small $100 million. Then you would impose a tariff across the board. And what would that long term do? It would incentivize the Chinese to pay their people more so they could buy more that's American.
But do you think they look at their workers the same way America looks at their workers?
Absolutely not.
And the reason why I mention that is the pollution levels over there, they say, are insane. When they had the Olympics in Beijing, they said a lot of the athletes couldn't practice. I mean, they couldn't breathe.
When you're not pushed to raise standards, right, you're never going to do it. So labor standards aren't going to go up. Environmental standards won't go up. Meanwhile, we're playing by all these rules that nobody else is. So if you push balanced trade, like here's the other problem with pushing all this product to China. At the end of the day, the Chinese government has a rule that if you're going to manufacture in China, 51% of that company's got to be Chinese owned, right? Guess what happens when 51% is owned by the Chinese and you send them intellectual property? Goodbye. Mm-hmm. It's gone. It's gone forever, right? Meanwhile, we've been waiting for all this. Think about NAFTA, think about TPP, think about all of our multilateral trade agreements. We've been waiting for jobs to come back here. Paul Tsongas said that if long term, if we're reduced to flipping burgers and plying our national natural resources. We will still have an economy, but it'll be one that's diminished and of lesser importance. That's where America could be headed with all these trade agreements, and that's why I think it was Congressman Meehan who
Why did we get into it?
That was a mistake.
Why do you think the country got into that?
Because we wanted a fast track to cheaper goods, right? We wanted to have we thought at the time that free trade, open trade, was the right course of action, and it surely spurs economic growth. In that, Apple is a good example. Apple was created because BlackBerry used to make their phones in Canada, right? And Apple just wiped them out with a device. What's sad to me? You can't in America produce an iPhone right now. There's no company that can produce them in that volume in America. That should worry us all, that if we're reduced to a country that can't make it ourselves, someone else has to make it for us.
It's technology was created here, and then it has to go elsewhere.
Right. So, and the mayor's point, I think, is well taken, because he's presided over the resurgence of a downtown that was decimated by the lack of the manufacturing.
And he's also helped bring in a diversity to our employment structure, the different types of jobs that are available in Haverhill.
Yeah.
And we're not just dependent to a large degree, as we were at one time, on the shoe industry.
Yeah, true.
Now we have a lot of diversity, which I think is good for the city in the long run, and we want to keep growing in that direction.
What you folks have done in your downtown is incredible, and you've done it largely without federal assistance, which is you've bootstrapped, and so that's something to be proud of. It's kind of ironic. I'm here seeking federal office and talking about all that you've done without federal support.
And there's more new things for downtown coming in the pipeline already. We're about to enter the pipeline, and I think we're going to keep growing and improving our full downtown area. We got to take a short break one more time, and we'll be right back right here on the Open Mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave!
Would it surprise you to know radio still reaches more than 90% of people in every age group, every week? It's a fact. And 97.9 WHAV FM's target audience averages 92%. While other media are cutting back, area residents turn to WHAV for local news, information, and entertainment they cannot find elsewhere. Add what has been called the halo effect of public radio, and listeners find business messages more credible and trustworthy than other forms of advertising. For a no-obligation assessment about how WHAV can help your business reach more people than all other local media combined, call 978-374-1900 or visit whav.net.
Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the new Open Mic. Bill Macek here, along with Bill Ellis, my co-host, and Beej Das. How'd I do?
That's awesome.
They did it.
How do you pronounce the mayor's name, Bill?
Ferrantini.
You're pretty good at this stuff. You're picking up.
Yeah.
But now we're going to throw some Russian names at you.
All right, now we're going to actually take it, before we get back into it.
Let Beej do it.
We're going to let Beej draw. This is for what we call the birthday
and anniversary.
Contest and anniversary, though. The names in there are gathered for the month before the actual birthday date. So we've been gathering names for May, which starts tomorrow. So now we're going to draw from the people that have called in with a May birthday or anniversary. Pick out a name, and that person will win a cake from LBD's Bakery, which is in Bradford Square.
Second generation Italian bakery.
Second generation Italian bakery.
And who's the winner?
It looks like the lucky winner here is Fran Hogan.
Fran Hogan. Okay.
That is great. Congratulations, Fran.
All right. Thank you very much.
It's a nice
for
cake,
drawing
and
that.
she doesn't have to share it with you, Bill. She's gonna share it with her
No.
family. I think Fran may have had called in and had 2 or 3 people. I think that she was calling in for. Fran, if you're listening, call in, Fran.
Yeah, if
Because
you'd like
Bill
to
wants to
call
get
in,
invited over to the party.
No, but Bill Ellis might. But
I would love to
I don't
go.
impose myself like that.
Billy, we should actually do something like that, a remote, where people can come up to us.
Yeah, we could have the annual birthday party. Maybe we do it for the station, and we have people come and we'll
The station just had its party a month and a half ago.
for birthday.
Well, it was the anniversary.
It
They
was
don't
the
call it
anniversary.
birthdays, Bill. They call it an anniversary.
Yes,
But you
right.
could call it
Yeah,
a birthday
the
if you'd
anniversary.
like.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Okay.
you're kind of elementary like that.
Thank
but
you, Bill. All right. Let's get back to our guest. Talking, Beej is running for Congress, and he's running for the 3rd District, which is the Niki Tsongas seat. Beej Das.
A congressional constitutional lawyer. I think that's fantastic, and we went back and forth with that. The First Amendment, you're saying it's changed from then till now. You know, the old adage, can you run into a theater and yell fire?
Right.
You know, the other, and, what's interesting is you can make comments, and you probably didn't know this, well, but Thomas Jefferson basically hired somebody to badmouth John Adams in the papers, and John Adams lost the presidency, and of course Thomas Jefferson went in, and it turned out that what John Adams was actually doing panned out because they did have a contract or a treaty with the French.
That was the first negative campaign.
That was it.
Yeah.
And did you pick up from that at all, or?
I don't run negative campaigns.
Good man, you are all right. That's why I stood outside in that cold, freezing rain.
Yeah, let's keep it positive. Let's talk about the good things. Let's think positive.
Okay, let's talk about the cake. That had me going. That's my adrenaline rush.
Has already been awarded, and but anybody who has a birthday, we shouldn't start tonight because it would be June.
Mm-hmm.
But if they call in, Chris, our producer, I'm sure would take their name for the next drawing,
next cake
from
LBD's
right.
Second Generation
Right,
Italian.
the last Monday of May.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a late arrival for spring, but we're really hopeful that.
We're going
May
we're going to go from
winter
to summer.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
In 2 days.
Did you ever hear about the story about the lack of winter in 1816? There was no winter. Did you hear about it? The kid in the corner nodding his head. It's true, and they blame it on that volcano that happened in April of 1815, and finally the ash came over, and basically there was nothing grew. A lot of people starved.
So it's kind of like a nuclear cloud.
It's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And there was nobody there to call it global warming or global cooling or climate change or whatever you want to pin on it.
Al Gore wasn't born then.
Who?
Al Gore.
Yeah, your buddy Al, the inventor of the internet.
I mean, what's
And global warming.
What's crazy a little bit is this winter was a destructive winter.
It was. In February, I was ready
Blame
for
the
spring.
It's Trump's fault.
Blame it on the...
Can we tag this on?
You can tag anything on him. He's taking everything out. You know what I think? And I thought about this. He should be nicknamed Old Ironsides. He's taking barrages from both sides.
Well,
and still he prevails.
They used to call Ronald Reagan the Teflon president, right? Wasn't that
No, that was John Gotti, the Teflon Don. He was a criminal.
But I mean, Trump is. I mean, I don't know what more you can throw at the guy, and he's survived it all.
He's ignoring it. But I mean, he vents his frustrations with his tweets. This episode that happened the other night with that correspondence dinner, that was insane. In fact, C-SPAN, which was covering it, shut it off halfway through because they thought they could be in violation of FCC rules on vulgarity.
Yeah, that's true.
Not good.
I mean, I think he's won that battle, right? I mean, because they don't look good, and he's been trying to.
But I'm telling you, the Democrats are burying themselves. Pelosi came out a couple of weeks ago looking for money in a fundraiser. Email says Comey Mueller fired. He wasn't fired, but yet that was the stick that she's trying to get to have people, pony up money. Why lie?
I don't know. It's Beej about what
Well, he's in
doing
politics.
his
This is all
campaign,
political
right.
stuff. I won't put you on the spot. Do you think Pelosi's attractive? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Let me ask this question, though, and I don't mean to put you on the spot either, but if you were in Congress, would you be willing to sometimes take a position, which I think you've spoken of some right now, that you're not with the herd? I just can't believe that it's so blue or red. Similar to black and white. When do you come to the middle, though, and try to negotiate for the benefit of the people? That's what used to be done. Find something that maybe isn't 100% your way, or 100% the other way, but it's in the middle, and you negotiate to something that is reasonable and works, or at least is a starting point.
Yeah, I was in Washington a couple months ago, and I was talking to Congressman Keating, who represents the Cape and the Islands. I said, Bill, what's happening here? And he said to me point blank, he said, we just don't talk to each other anymore, right?
That's terrible.
And,
how do you get anything accomplished?
You had Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan that they'd have a drink together and a cigar together afterwards.
Two Irishmen drinking?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an area where we have polarized our politics, and unless you are, screaming that the world is going to end, it doesn't excite the bases.
Didn't Trump get together with Nancy and Chuck and try to find some happy medium?
Yeah, they made nice for a day.
Yeah, they tried, but the president isn't necessarily the ideal guy in terms of he shook up the system. He showed how you can win by going direct to the people. These are things that these playbooks are going to be around for a long time. The trouble with him is, he's genuinely probably not a great guy. That seems to be the consensus. People who do business with him have said, look, it's a little shady. People who've known him, and all this stuff we laugh about it, and he's got a harem. Men, his base looks at it and says, well, that's entertaining.
Almost every president has.
Yeah, sure.
If you look back,
you're right.
It just wasn't It wasn't on CNN. There was no CNN.
It wasn't as maybe.
No, it's funny. Somebody posted something on Facebook the other day about Trump and these women that are coming out. If a moral compass determined who was going to be president, you never would have heard the names Clinton and Kennedy in the White House.
No, you're right. But it's just gotten seedier, right? And so and he responds on tweets, and so that has changed. But he's still the president. He still won against establishment candidates.
That's why he's disliked by both sides, because he can upset the apple cart now. We were talking last week, and maybe both sides are working together in creating this image of a two-party system, because if it was all one-sided, would you go to a fight if there was only one fighter in the ring?
True. And our campaign to touch, on, look, I've never run for office. I'm not a politician. I've never worked for one. None of that's there, right? So our only hope to winning is to disrupt. Because, the other candidates, there are chiefs of staff, there are, people who worked for Obama, this, that. Thing. And I said, you know what? And when I got into the race, I was told by friends who are politically active and politically well-placed, Beej, you don't have a shot. And we've proven not only can we raise money, but that people are listening to our message. And the recent polls, wait until people looking.
Yeah, that's too early to take a poll.
Yeah, don't believe the polls.
Yeah.
We got a couple of minutes. I'd like to ask you to give a synopsis of who you are in your message to the public.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. This is great.
Thank you for coming
He didn't
in.
want to have you. I was the one that forced him to.
Well, listen, I'm Beej Das, which we can pronounce any which way. I'll take anything. I'll answer to anything. But I'm running to be the people's representative, right? At the end of the day, I am a constitutional lawyer. I do run a small business in the district and employ 75 people. And I have had a technology background. Those three things give me a pretty unique perspective, or at least a rare one, going to government from this district. I worry about things because they affect the people who are closest to me in my life, my employees, my family, all of those. My mom has been professor at UMass Lowell for 46 years, right? I worry about whether she's going to be able to age gracefully in place. That's a concern, right? She's been there 46 years, and I'm concerned about it. Now think about people who aren't in that position. People are a lot closer to that line, and I do think about it a lot because I see. So that's why I'm running. I'm running to be a voice of change. I am very qualified, but I'm not an establishment candidate, and I think people want that. Paul Tsongas said it, so many years ago, that people who go to Washington should have their success running on a startup business and pay payroll and do those things. So I'm hoping we can bring that new thinking back and try to win back the middle. The Democrats have got to win back the middle. We can't talk in platitudes about things that aren't important.
They've gone too far left.
Yeah, and you just said it, win back the middle. That's a great message. Thank you for all that you've stayed coming into the show, and I wish you luck. And we'll
come back
have
and see
you
us
back again before.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the new open mic program every Monday night on WHAV from 6 until 8 p.m. I'm Bill Macek, and Bill Ellis is our co-host, and Beej Das has been our guest this hour, running for the 3rd District for Congress, the Niki Tsongas seat.
Bill, practice makes perfect.
That's it.
That one.
Yeah, we got it.
That's it.
All right. And that's it for tonight. Thanks for listening, and thanks for calling in for those callers. And we'll be back next Monday night, and we're going to be covering live some of the broadcast will be coming from the Democratic City Committee when they have all of the congressional candidates in one room giving their message to the people. We're going to cover that live right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Join Bill Mason on the new open mic again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.